Welcome to This Animated Life. I am Stephie Theodora. Thank you so much for joining me on my second ever podcast episode and podcast. So This Animated Life is about people working in cartoons and their careers, mostly how they break in, because I kind of find that interesting. I just broke into the industry myself, basically a year ago, as a writer. I've been doing voices for cartoons for a long time, including... Or should I brag about myself? No, I won't brag about myself. You can Google me. I got my first job about a year and a half ago. And then I moved to LA because that's what you do. And now I'm living here and I have a podcast. So there you go. Currently I am writing for Hasbro on a new upcoming secret title. But I met my guest. Ooh, good segue. Working on Hanazuki. Before I get to that, thank you for your tips and feedback on the podcast. That's been really helpful. I promise to try to keep making it better. One of the things that people said was, but who are you? So, yeah, I got my big break working and writing on Danger Mouse, which is an animated series based out of England, and it has John Oliver in it and Stephen Fry, and was a pretty big thing to happen to me. So I got that, and then I got a fancy Hollywood manager who's amazing, and he helped me come down to Los Angeles, and since then I've been writing for Hasbro and Disney, and now on a new Hasbro show. So yeah, working writer. It's not as glamorous as it sounds, but it's been pretty fun. And then, so recently I hit my 1-year mark in Los Angeles, so the worst year is over, and I can say that it kind of was shitty, but that's because everyone here sort of sucks, or I just haven't met the right people. So I'm kind of a hermit and super poor. Everybody don't think that being a writer, I mean, no writers ever, I guess, were rich. But, yeah, being poor in America kind of sucks, but I have good people in my life, so I'm happy about that. That's the most important thing. Not people that are from LA. No, there's some good people in LA that I like too, and they will mostly be my guests that I hope to continuously meet good people, and then I will only have nice people on my show. And big news, I've been signed with a literary agent, so that's kind of fun. So now I have a voice agent and a manager, and I have a games agent who helps me get work in games, because that's where I came from, was working in video games and mobile games. So yeah, now I have a literary agent, so work better start fucking pouring in, right? Yeah. And I wrote a new show that I'm going to be pitching around soon. And I guess I'll let you know how that goes. I'm if you can't tell, I'm trying to do the Marc Maron thing, and you can criticize that by writing me an email. Okay, so my guest, Whitney. I really, really like Whitney. I met her in a writer's room, and I thought she was great, and then we both keep getting hired together, so we both must be great. So Whitney Ralls is a writer and comedian from Glendale, California. Woo! In 2012, she graduated from USC's writing program for screen and television, and she is the story editor on Hasbro's Hanazuki, which is why I know her, because I wrote on that too. And she also wrote on Equestria Girls, which is the My Little Pony spinoff. And she contributes to Reductress.com, which is a website. And she also runs a monthly comedy show called The Bush Administration in Hollywood. So you should check that out. And here is my interview with Whitney. So, Whitney, thank you for coming.
Them's the facts.
Now, I have to ask you, did you listen to the first episode of this podcast?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I know Alan, too.
Oh, you do? Awesome.
Yeah.
I guess we all kind of know each other.
Yeah.
So got some interesting feedback about the podcast.
Oh, yeah?
And I will try to read it in the voices of the people who said it. Okay, so first anonymous feedback on the podcast was, "It's too long." The second one was, you made Alan say a lot of negative things. And the other one was funny was, don't shit on PAs. And I do have to apologize to PAs because I said, oh God, wouldn't you want to die if you're a PA? I was just trying to highlight that it's not our dream job to be a PA. That was the whole thing about that. I am sorry about PAs. I'm just saying that writers don't come here to be PAs, and then that's difficult. Production assistants, if you're wondering what that is. Got a lot of feedback that the questions were too hard hitting. The last one is, Alan put his career in jeopardy by being on your podcast. That was feedback of the first episode. So thank you for putting your career in jeopardy, Whitney. Of course. And my mom said I interrupted the guests too much.
I'm all about negativity, so we'll pair well.
Right. We'll see how deep and awful this goes, but I don't mean to Alan doesn't think his career was in jeopardy, and also you do get the final edit, so just everybody knows I'm not getting you drunk on hummus and then, ruining your career to exploit you. But there are the commandments. So thou shalt not break NDAs, thou shalt not shit talk people with names, but you could just shit talk people in general if you like. You are allowed to swear. You can ask me questions if I ask you stuff. And the last thing is, if things get totally out of hand, how about we do a safe word?
Okay.
What could be a safe word?
Calliope.
Calliope? Okay, well, good, because you're the one who's going to have to say it. Part 1. Whitney's early life and school. Okay, so you're originally from Los Angeles, which is kind of not a common thing for people in this city, right? People leave their little towns in their homes and they pack up and they drive down here. But you live like 5 minutes physically away from here.
Yeah, I grew up like 7 minutes away from where we're sitting right now.
Right, crazy.
I don't know, people always say it's weird, but to me it seems normal because I know so many people from LA that it seems normal. But I do get that reaction a lot. And I like to say that I was born on the bandwagon,
Now, is your family in showbiz?
No. My dad was a radiologist and my mom was like a stay-at-home mom.
Okay,
yeah. Cool.
So did you not dream of like rebelling and becoming like an ice fisherman, like the total opposite of where you're from?
I do. I still do. Like maybe I'm skipping ahead here, but yeah, I went to college at USC. I'm in entertainment. Like my life is here, and I never really got out.
Right.
Like I never got out of LA, and so I do. I say that like I'm dead, but already. But I do think about like traveling and moving somewhere else for a while. But realistically, I'm gonna be here for a while. But like for me, my dad was a doctor, and we lived near JPL, like in Pasadena, and so it was much more like science.
Okay. So you still were in
driven.
A little bit of a bubble in that whole thing.
Yeah. So I didn't really know anybody I think I knew one person whose dad was a producer, and like Kevin Costner's son went to my middle school.
Okay,
that was about it.
So when you went to your guidance counselor in high school and said that you wanted to be a writer, there probably was no pushback on that.
Oh, no. No, they were like, yeah, that makes sense.
Because, right. Yeah, and that you'd be fine.
It wasn't like an unheard of goal,
Right.
But,
and then getting into USC, which is probably one of the best places to study script writing.
Yeah, it was, I had no idea whether I would get in or not. I was like really rebellious at that age, so I only applied to 3 schools, one of them being USC, And I remember telling my dad, I was like, yeah, Dad, like, if I don't get into any of them, I'm just going to not go to college.
Oh, really?
And I was,
wow.
Yeah, I had a real fuck you attitude about things.
Yeah.
But
now, did you want to do cartoons at that point, or were you just like television in general?
Yeah, just I don't even think I necessarily knew television. Like I loved movies, and I grew up like basically I spent my entire high school on the couch watching Turner Classic Movies. I didn't party or do anything, but yeah, I like Turner Classic Movies during the day, like Adult Swim at night, and that's how this human wound up in front of you.
Now, at that school, did you always get the impression that you're surrounded by like Hollywood's next best writers, or did you feel sometimes that the bar was pretty low? Like, did you kind of get there? Did you get there and look around and go, you know what? I'm better than half these fucks.
Here are the hard-hitting questions. No, I mean, like, I think I was really stressed out about getting into school, and I, not necessarily within the film school, but when I got into the general USC populace, I kind of felt that way, I think, especially in, like, the writing classes where I was like, God, like, people cannot string together a sentence. But
yeah,
right. The film school, you know, especially the screenwriting department, I have huge respect for everyone that I graduated with too.
Yeah,
and still to this day, and I'm still really good friends with a lot of them. And yeah, I think that it did feel it. You know, there were only 24 people in my year, and all the classes are workshop classes.
Right.
So you get to know everybody on a really intense level, and I think like everyone's there for a reason, you know, even if their writing isn't like your cup of tea.
Right. And how would like the workload compare there to working on an actual show? Was it like sometimes I feel like in university we worked way more than I do now.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it is, you know, freelance life is lighter just by nature.
Yeah.
But
and did you learn everything that you needed to know?
No.
Yeah, because I never learned script writing in school at all.
Really?
Oh yeah, no. The first time I got hired on a show and they sent me a sample of a script was the first time I learned.
Laid eyes on screenplay format.
Yeah,
that's really the big thing. Honestly, is I think that's like that. I learned a ton of stuff that I can't even enumerate at USC.
Part 2. Whitney gets her first job out of school.
Yeah.
So then you graduated.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that was like an undergraduate degree?
Undergraduate, yeah.
Okay, cool. And then, so you don't really take off to go to another city, do you?
No.
You just stay...
No, I stay put in LA. Because I don't know, I liked LA.
And then what was your first job out of school?
I had, while I was in school, I was interning for a writer-director. And... do
you want to say who that is?
No.
Okay, let's go. A famous person. Famous writer director hired you to be an assistant.
Yeah. He's super cool. And he.
And what were you doing?
I was an assistant. So
okay.
So basically, like
on a movie
was interning.
Set?
No, I was interning. I was interning for him. He had a general overall at Fox.
Okay.
And so I was interning for him while I was in school. As soon as I graduated, his assistant left, and so basically I just moved up to be his assistant.
Okay. So that's a desk job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Answering phones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Answering phones, picking up the kids from school.
Oh, really?
The classic story.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, so you really know that person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I worked out of their house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it a nice house?
Yeah, it was.
Did they have 2 swimming pools?
Just one.
Just one. Was it in Beverly Hills?
It was not.
Okay. Are we getting closer to who the person is?
No. I mean, that doesn't narrow it down. Right? But,
so, and how was that experience?
You know, it was really good, and I learned a lot, but it was like really stressful.
Did he ever go, hey, this is what a writer does? By the way,
Not really.
after you get the groceries, I'll show you a bit.
I mean, like, it wasn't a mentorship, you know what I mean? Like, I would never have asked him to read anything of mine.
Oh, okay.
But I did sort of learn what the actual writing process from, like, a studio perspective is, because, you know, he had a lot of scripts that were in development, scripts that were just through his production company that he wasn't writing. So I was reading drafts at different stages.
Oh, wow.
And, like, fielding notes and doing that kind of thing. So it was a good handle on, like, the way that process works.
Because, like, did your school, like, how do you get a job with a celebrity director? Like, is that through a program?
I mean, it wasn't through a program, but USC is, like, the USC Mafia is a real thing. Like,
oh, that they help you?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I mean, it's not even a spoken thing, but there were definitely, I got called into interviews simply because USC was on my resume.
Oh, that's great.
And people told me that when I had the interview.
Okay.
Did I get the job? No.
but they, like, still, gave you a chance.
Yeah.
So then you were doing that job, so maybe a couple of months?
Yeah, so I did that job until November because my dad passed away in September. And, you know, me being the plucky recent college grad, I was like, it doesn't matter that my dad just died. I'm gonna fucking do this and do a great job and prove everybody wrong. But I was a total wreck. Yeah, I couldn't do my job, and
life happens, and then you have to kind of adjust to it, or like how much. I mean, that must have been just really shocking for you.
Yeah, it was a shock, and it was definitely sudden, and it was also, like, I mean, obviously I lost my dad, and it was a heartbreak, and he really was a big, like, supporter of me and my dreams, you know, like, he really believed in me. So it was also just the timing of it, like, having just graduated, it felt like all the horses just left the gate, and, like, I got, like, shot in the chest.
Jeez. Yeah.
But I wanted to, like, not let it affect me, but I had to leave that job because for better or worse, like, I just thought, like, I have to not be an assistant. It's just not where I shine, you know?
Okay.
And like,
so even though you were, like, 22 at the time, or how old were you then?
I was 22, yeah.
Yeah, so you're 22. But even then, you were, like, you didn't want to spend the time to climb up the ladder.
Well,
production ladder.
Like, death just puts things in perspective.
Right.
And, like, there's no ladder.
Oh, yeah.
There is, and you certainly that is an approach, but it's not the only approach. And at that point, I was just like, this isn't for me. Like, you know, climbing up the ranks. It's a great way that works for a lot of people, and it also doesn't. I took time away from the job to help my mom sort of, like, settle everything, and to also get right with myself. And what I kind of, during that period of reflection, what I kind of came up with was, that path works for a lot of people, but it also doesn't work. And in the same way, if you instead bet on yourself and devote yourself to writing and doing that whole grind, which is a grind but in a totally different way, like, it's sort of the same. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't always work out for people, but sometimes it does.
Right.
But it's not that, I don't think that the discrepancy is that different from the assistant path, I guess.
Right.
And, like,
so then what was the alternative? What did you do? So you stopped working for him?
So I stopped working for him, and, like, to be honest, I got like a portion of a life insurance policy from my dad because he worked for the county.
Right.
And that was what I lived off and decided to start freelancing.
Part 3! Whitney takes the jump to freelance. Then to be a freelancer was your first, like, idea that you needed to get an agent? Like, how did you plan out, I'm going to be a freelancer now?
What?
How did you plan that? Like, what did you think?
I didn't know. I didn't know what I was doing. That's the thing, is like, I just leapt, you know? And I think that's what it takes sometimes, is like, you just have to be like, I don't know how this is going to pan out, and I don't know how the pieces are all going to fall together. I didn't have a plan, but I just had to trust that, like, if I jumped, the ground would materialize for me. Okay. But did you imagine what that what that looked like? Like I wanted to write a hot pilot that got all the attention, and I had managers clawing their eyes out to represent me, you know, but you know, it also didn't really work like that, and like I just started making things and just focusing on developing my voice and like writing for myself. And that was another huge lesson, was I think it was around the time that Broad City came out, and I had like the note that I had always gotten in college was that my voice was too crazy and they didn't know what to do with me. And really? Yeah. And so just that the stuff that you were writing was risky or edgy, or what was crazy? It was just very like high concept, and like no one thought that, I mean, you know, no one thinks that anyone's going to be interested in female-driven animated. And wow, yeah. And you would get actual notes like that from teachers? Not really, but that was the sort of, they wouldn't directly say that, but it was like, the thing is that they were like, we can't look to an example of this. Right. Or would it not sell? Would they give you that, like... Yeah. Was really self-conscious about that coming out of school. Oh, okay. And so I was like, so I tried to like tone myself down, and I tried to write like a really straightforward, like sitcom-y type of comedy. Oh, yeah. And like I sent it to a manager, and the first note I got back was like, this is really generic. And I was like, wow, that has never been my problem. Wow. Yeah. You know, my problem has always been like, the other side. Yeah. And so I was like, that was a great experience, even though it sucked because I wanted so desperately to get representation. It was a big wake-up call because I knew that it would have been better for me to just write something that I wanted to write. Right. And did you feel like you blew your chance then? Just because of, like, is that how it happened? With that particular manager, probably. Yeah? You couldn't be like, oh, actually, no, I don't write that stuff. I was just kidding. Here's what I really write. You can send something else. Not really. I you know, a gutsier person might do something like that, but at that time I was just still trying to figure everything out, and like, and how did you like decide what managers to approach? Like for me, there's no obvious food chain for these people, these agents or managers. I just go with the ones that I like talking to right now. I think that's smart. Yeah. I think. Did they teach you that in school? Like, you know, William Morris or whatever, these guys are the biggest. And oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we had to do exercises that were, like, breaking down the agencies and, like, agents that we wanted to be repped by. Oh, wow. But, like, all of that is just sort of, in the end, I don't think was particularly fruitful. You know, it's not like anybody went out and got those agents. So what was your first, like, freelance script then? Like, what was your first paid writer's job? My first paid writer's job was, I co-wrote a script with a friend from college, and we sold it, and it went to pilot, but it wasn't picked up, and that was that. And at that point, I left my receptionist gig, and I was like, I've made it.
Right.
Yay, I sold a pilot. And
right.
but it doesn't work like that at all. And I still wasn't wrapped after that. And,
okay.
And like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's just really fickle, and what in your mind you think making it is like it's a different picture. Mm-hmm. So then it was after that, it was like that was in 2014, and then it was like a full year and a half of like floating and trying to figure out how I was going to make the freelance thing work.
Right.
And then I was writing that's when I was writing for Reductress, really.
Oh, okay.
Because I was just, and...
So that's a website that's...
Satirical, BuzzFeed, or Jezebel. It's like, it has like a feminist bent, but it's satirical. Mm-hmm. Bylines for them, like unpaid, you know? Like, it wasn't... but I just, at that point, I was just really focused on developing my voice and getting my voice out there. Mm-hmm. And
were you surprised at kind of the gate around all the systems? So did you think like, oh, you could just submit a script to this studio and then someone will read it and then decide? Because like that was one thing that I noticed when I was trying to break in, was that nobody was even reading the damn thing. Like even if you got somebody's email address, most likely nobody was ever going to email you back or take a look at it.
When my friends and I were interning in college, like we were the people reading those scripts.
Okay.
And like, I mean, if it was a cold email, like it would never be read.
Right.
But like if it came from a manager, it's read by interns,
right.
And it gets kicked up the food chain that way, kind of. But like, so I was pretty aware of how difficult it is, I guess, because I had that inside look.
After your pilot was sold, were you chasing agents and managers still?
I was, but it's really difficult. You pretty much have to be working. You have to have it's the classic catch-22 of the industry. Is like, you can't be repped unless you're working, and you can't work unless you're repped.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So then what was your first working show?
Well, Equestria Girls, I guess. Yeah.
And
Hasbro.
And how did that happen? Part 4. Whitney lands a freelance job at Hasbro.
Friend of a former coworker I met at like a barbecue, and she was like, what we had known each other a little bit, but not super well, but like liked each other, and she was like, oh, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm freelancing, doing that fun dance of like nothing,
right.
But I sent her some of my like Reductress posts and stuff, and she really liked them, and so she brought me into Hasbro, and that's how that started.
Okay. And can I ask what her position was at Hasbro?
She's a producer, I think is her title.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what their titles are.
Sometimes I don't know who gives us the jobs.
Yeah.
That's just the jobs come.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then you had your foot in the door.
And then I had my foot in the door, and it started with just like punch-up rooms, and then they liked me and kept using me, and that was a year ago, August. Brought on to Story Edit, Hanazuki Season 2, and that was wild because, I'd never done it before. Mm-hmm. Never story edited, and
so you went from freelancing to having a desk.
Yeah,
that's cool,
and it was amazing. It was a total whirlwind and a learning experience, and
it's a lot. You wish your whole career for a job like that, and then you get it, and then it's a lot of work, I guess, right?
Yeah, it was a ton of work, but it so thrilling because, you know, I'm a huge Titmouse fan too.
Yeah, right.
And
the
so
studio.
suddenly I was story editing a Titmouse show. It was like someone walked over and like tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "Would you like a dream?"
That's great.
So I was like, I was doing my dream job, and it was great.
Yeah, it was nice to know you in that time because for me that was my first LA gig.
Right.
Yeah. So
I
that was
the
cool.
room.
Yeah, we had, so the first writer's room was also, you know, that day is always built up in your head, like to be in a writer's room in LA, you know, like to be around LA writers. And that's like when every time you describe your dream to people, you say like, I want to sit in a room and write cartoons with people.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and it was, I don't know if you remember, it was this awful stormy day, and I was driving like this broken down truck and was praying the whole time that the car would get me there. And then I was because remember they also were like, oh, come in early to do paperwork, which I didn't know that you would do that. And so I was driving crazy, and then I almost hit a car in the parking lot.
No.
And then when I went to get out of I like crawled out of the car as fast as I could and was, you know, and everything's covered in wet and I'm running, and then I locked the keys in the car.
No.
Just on the way into the writer's room.
God.
So the whole writer's room, I was also just thinking, like, how am I going to get out of this?
Wow, you seemed so cool, calm, and
Yeah.
collected
Well,
to me.
after the room, I took one of the writers. I was like, hey, do you know how to break into a car? And he actually did. And we lifted the window, and I crawled through, and I had this bike in the back.
How did you decide who to ask?
His car was close to mine because we did the like customary like walking out, like, okay, yeah, nice to meet you, yeah, nice to meet you, and then his car was really close to my car. I was like, oh shit, he's gonna see that I like, first of all, that I like am owning this piece of crap car because everybody had like a nice car and I had this broken down one, so I was already embarrassed about that. The second that I was gonna have to like crawl through the window, but then he helped me, so that was good. But yeah, I mean the show, I mean, I'm so blown away that they even made this show,
It's so
Hanazuki.
cool,
It's really special, and I've really been so happy to work with Hasbro. We're both working on a new Hasbro show. I don't know if we're allowed to say what new Hasbro show.
I don't know if we're allowed to say.
I don't know.
So
It's somewhere on the internet, but Part 5. Whitney does stand up and other stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's, so for you, then you also wanted to do stand-up comedy. Was that always a dream of yours?
Yeah. So, I mean, I love stand-up, and, like, I always loved stand-up growing up, and it's something that I definitely thought that I would be, like, quote-unquote, too shy to do.
Okay. Did someone say to you, you'd be good at stand-up?
Never.
No?
I don't know. I'm, like, a pretty reserved person.
Yeah.
But you know, but I love comedy, and I had friends who were in the scene, and
okay.
So I just started doing it, and haven't quit yet.
Yeah, well, it was awesome, and you won when I went to see you. You won the vote thing.
Oh yeah,
and the fries and stuff.
I won a bowl of fries with flappers.
Yeah, you were hilarious.
It's a true rite of passage.
Now, how often do you do stand up now?
It depends on, like, I try to get out like 2 or 3 times a week.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, and then I have my show Bush Administration that I run with Angela Beavers and Maddie Connors. It's a monthly stand-up show at this space in Hollywood called Junior High LA. Mm-hmm. And it's very fun and supportive and inclusive and pink.
Okay.
And they've got like a lot of like really super cool tchotchkes, and Faye, who runs the space, is just amazing.
Okay. And so it's just all women stand-ups?
No, it's not an all-female show.
Oh, okay.
But we try to generally have it be female-dominated, but just diverse, and we definitely try to like have a diverse lineup, and
yeah, and being in Hollywood,
support women in comedy, because it is like still a crazy time to be a woman in comedy, you know?
Yeah, or in TV in general, or just sort of alive,
or just a woman. Period.
Yeah, well, I have felt welcome in the children's space as a woman. I have to say that I've been really happy with the
And Hasbro is so great.
Yeah, I do feel it's at least 50-50, if not more women in the room on Hasbro,
absolutely.
and everyone's running it is a woman. So that's been really good. Definitely a change from the gaming industry where I came from.
Yeah, the animation world is great. I feel like people are very like inclusive and supportive of each other.
Yeah, and we seem to be getting some more shows and some good female characters. A lot is being done in this town. So I feel really excited and happy that we're here at this moment, because we could have been here 50 years ago. It would have been a totally different story, right? Part 6, Whitney's current work and how to contact her. So with that, then, are you making new shows yourself? Like, are you at home feverishly writing a dream project that you hope one day will?
Yeah. I have. I'm definitely working on my own writing, and I have one project that I'm really excited about, and it's in development.
And so development, for the kids at home who don't know what development means, because actually I don't think I know what it means. That means that a place...
So it's basically like before production, you're getting notes and...
Do you just all at script right now? Do you have any art?
There's no art right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I have mood boards and stuff of what I want it to look and feel like.
Yeah.
But we haven't settled on a designer.
Okay. And you're still doing pitch Bible stuff? Or show Bible?
Mm-hmm. Well, all that stuff is pretty much done.
Okay.
Basically, we're basically deciding between designers right now.
Oh, okay. So you are moving into getting the art.
Yeah, we're kind of a little bit in production.
That's great.
I'm probably going to ask you to cut all this.
Oh, really? Okay.
We've recorded scratch for the animatic and stuff.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's going to animatic.
That's amazing. Good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Is that not the most exciting thing you can imagine?
It is, I know. Sometimes I feel like I'm so dead inside.
Everybody in this town, no, I promise you, every time something good happens to somebody around me, I'm the one jumping up and down for them, and they're like, yeah, it's just to this, and you're like, this is what our goal was.
I don't feel like, I'm super excited about it, but I think it's the thing of not wanting to get overexcited and then have it all fall apart.
Right. Yeah, well, congratulations on that thing that we can't talk about. I'll just say that. And that's really exciting, because I think that's everyone's, dream.
Yeah. For sure.
And I know because it's so difficult and you can't talk about stuff, but I hope that you do pinch yourself every once in a while and just go, there's thousands and thousands of people who wish that they, got even close to what you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll see how all that pans out. So then if people wanted to, you're a really funny person because you're not much on the internet. Very hard to Google you. And so you prove a lot of theories wrong. So I think people always have the theory that, to be a working writer, you need to have an agent or a manager. And you don't. And you're doing better than most writers. And the other thing is that you need to have a strong online presence. And you don't.
Wow, I come on this show and insult my online presence.
You don't even have an updated IMDb. I was going to do it for you. I was oh, fuck, I'll just do it for her.
Do you do it yourself?
You can do it yourself. Yeah, you can do it yourself.
I don't know.
No, but you're proving it wrong. That's amazing. Because people waste energy on that stuff. Yeah.
I think that that's my whole dead dad philosophy, is just bet on yourself.
And if people wanted to see your stand-up, where could they check you out?
Follow me on Twitter, which is at Whitney Ralls, and I'll always post if I have shows there.
Okay.
And my show, Bush Administration, at Bush ADM Show on Twitter.
Okay. Well, thanks for being my second guest on this experiment.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it.
Lovely.
Yeah, and definitely our folks will check out your stuff, and we'll have you back when you can talk about the amazing news. That's the shit about amazing news in this town. You can never talk about it. But thanks for sharing at least like your experience too. So thank you for listening to the second ever episode. So special thanks to Joe Ippen, who did all the graphic design for the show. Danke Joe, and Danke to Boris Yerns, who did the music. He also did like the weird little soundy things that happen in between the chapters. So really thank you to Boris for that and sending me that from Germany as well. And thank you to Dan Conesvita, who set up all the microphones here to make sure that the sound quality was good. And stay tuned next week. Sorry that the episode's been so late. I don't know, I had a lot of deadlines this week. So next episode's going to come sooner. And that is with Kyle Carosa, who is the creator of Magiswords. He has a really awesome story about how he went around LA pitching his show for a really long time. And actually, the moment I met him, I knew that his story needed to be told. I met him actually in France a year ago. He was super, super friendly, and him and his wife have been really warm and welcoming to me in LA. And actually, both of them, I sit down with both of them, and we talk about how that show went from really just a couple of sketches now to the huge, massive Cartoon Network franchise that it is now. So stay tuned for that. And if you have any questions or comments or want to be on the show,